The building's monthly electricity bill is $464,000, roughly what it costs to power 400 average American homes for an entire year. And that's just to keep the lights on. Pause. The Las Vegas Sphere is the most expensive entertainment venue ever built, in a city famous for expensive entertainment venues. $2.3 billion. That's more than the Allegiant Stadium where the Raiders play. More than any casino. More than anything Vegas has ever seen. And in its first year of operation, according to financial filings reported by KTNV Las Vegas, the Sphere lost over $500 million. Pause. $500 million. Gone. Not because nobody came. The show sold out. U2 made $256 million in just 40 performances. Critics called it revolutionary. Audiences called it life-changing. And the company still bled money. So here's the question that should keep every visionary entrepreneur awake at night. What happens when you build something genuinely incredible? Something that redefines an entire industry? And it still can't pay for itself. This is the story of how a billionaire's napkin sketch became a $2.3 billion bet on the future of entertainment, and whether that future can actually survive. So where did this all begin? With a doodle. According to Yahoo Finance and the Associated Press, billionaire James Dolan, owner of Madison Square Garden and the New York Knicks, sketched the entire concept as a crude circle with a stick person inside. He'd experimented with other shapes. A muffin? A box? A pyramid? None of them felt right. But the sphere, something about it captured what he was after. Pause. In 2018, Dolan announced plans for a $1.2 billion venue unlike anything the world had ever seen. The pitch was audacious. The world's largest LED screen wrapping the interior, 160,000 square feet at 16K resolution. An exterior display called the Exosphere, covering 580,000 square feet. 167,000 individual speaker drivers creating sound so precise you could hear a whisper from across the arena. 10,000 seats equipped with haptic technology that would let you feel the bass in your bones. It would be, Dolan promised, a completely new medium. At a media walkthrough before opening night, he told reporters, "When you're in the sphere, you don't get told what to look at. The audience decides what they want to focus on." But here's where the math started to go wrong. But the original budget didn't survive contact with reality. Construction took 5 years, from 2018 to 2023, and according to Billboard, the final cost hit $2.3 billion. Over $1 billion more than the original estimate, nearly double what Dolan had promised investors. Pause. The pandemic didn't help, supply chain chaos, labor shortages, but the real culprit was what the company called the overall complexity of the project. Turns out, nobody had ever built anything like this before. The interior LED screen alone required engineering that didn't exist when they broke ground. The speaker system, those 167,000 drivers, needed custom acoustic technology developed in partnership with a German company called Holoplot. As Sphere Entertainment acknowledged, creating this experience required us to go far beyond existing audio technology. Pause. To fund the overruns, Dolan sold off assets. The Tao Group, a nightclub empire, went for $550 million. The company spun off from Madison Square Garden Entertainment entirely. They were scrambling. And when the Sphere finally opened on September 29, 2023, with U2's UV Achtung Baby live at Sphere Residency, the reviews were rapturous. But the balance sheet was catastrophic. Then the paradox emerged. U2 performed 40 shows at the Sphere. According to reporting from 105.7 WROR, the residency generated $256 million in revenue and sold 661,456 tickets. It was the fastest-grossing residency in Billboard box score history. Pause. The Eagles followed. Then Fish, Dead and Company. In 2024, the Sphere posted $420.5 million in total concert gross, the highest year-end total for any venue in BoxScore's 50-year history. The venue was a hit, the shows were selling, and the company was still hemorrhaging cash. Why? Because the Sphere's business model had a fatal flaw. The venue relies on long-term artist residencies rather than one-off concerts. That sounds smart. Lock in a guaranteed run of shows. But it also means a limited number of performers. You can't book 300 different acts a year like a normal arena. You're dependent on a handful of artists willing to commit months of their lives. As Dolan admitted during a November 2024 earnings call, we're struggling with 2025, just figuring out how to get to people who want in, the acts that want to get in. Demand exceeded supply, but the business model couldn't capture it. And beneath those losses sat a mountain of debt. According to 95.9 The River, Sphere Entertainment carries $1.5 billion in outstanding obligations. Pause. Think about that for a moment. The company owes $1.5 billion. It just spent $2.3 billion on a building, and its core business lost $500 million in year one. The math doesn't work. Benchmark analyst Mike Hickey explained the problem when he downgraded the stock in September 2024. A weakening consumer environment may negatively impact their Las Vegas non-gaming entertainment business, while MSG Networks faces significant debt maturity challenges. That last part mattered. Sphere Entertainment wasn't just running the Sphere. It also owned MSG Networks, the regional sports channel that broadcasts Knicks and Rangers games. And MSG Networks was drowning. $804 million in debt, with cord cutting accelerating every quarter. Two struggling businesses, combined debt exceeding $2 billion, revenue that couldn't cover operating costs. The exterior exosphere brought in advertising money, $450,000 per day, according to Men's Journal, going up to $2 million during the Super Bowl. But even that couldn't close the gap. The company needed a different kind of content, something that didn't require booking rock legends for months at a time. But global expansion wasn't going according to plan either. In November 2023, London Mayor Sadiq Khan rejected plans for a Sphere in Stratford, East London. The reason? Light pollution. Environmental concerns. A giant glowing orb next to residential neighborhoods apparently didn't fit the city's vision for sustainable development. Pause. The same technology that made the Vegas Sphere an icon, that massive exosphere, visible from miles away, became a liability overseas. In January 2024, MSG Entertainment officially withdrew its London application, releasing a bitter statement. After spending millions of pounds acquiring our site in Stratford and collaboratively engaging in a 5-year planning process, we cannot continue to participate in a process that is merely a political football between rival parties. 5 years of planning, millions of pounds gone. Pause. The rejection exposed a fundamental tension in the Sphere's business model. Vegas celebrates excess, 28 megawatts of power consumption, 95,000 megawatt hours of electricity annually. A building so bright it reshapes the night sky. Other cities don't necessarily want that. And if you can't replicate the Sphere globally, how do you amortize the technology investment? How do you turn one successful prototype into an empire? The answer would have to come from somewhere unexpected, and then Dorothy clicked her heels. Pause. In August 2025, the Sphere premiered The Wizard of Oz at Sphere, an AI-enhanced reimagining of the 1939 classic. Not a concert, not a residency, a movie, but transformed into something that could only exist inside this building. The original film wrapped around the interior screen. Enhanced visuals filled peripheral vision. The haptic seats rumbled as the tornado swept Dorothy away, and audiences couldn't get enough. According to Music Business Worldwide, the production has generated $290 million from 2.2 million tickets sold since its premiere. That's an average of $132 per ticket for a movie that's older than most viewers' grandparents. Pause. The numbers revealed something crucial. Original, immersive content could drive sustainable revenue without depending on aging rock stars or scheduling nightmares. James Dolan recognized the shift during a February 2026 earnings call. Our success in Las Vegas, including most recently The Wizard of Oz, is an important blueprint for our long-term vision. For the first time, the Sphere had a scalable content model, something it could produce, refine, and export globally. The technology wasn't just a venue anymore. It was becoming a medium. Then the turnaround accelerated. In Q4 2025, the Sphere finally posted its first operating profit. After years of losses, after $500 million in red ink, after selling off assets and spinning off companies, the bleeding stopped. According to Sphere Entertainment's investor relations filings, full year 2025 revenue hit $1.22 billion, an 8% increase year over year. The operating loss shrank to $229.6 million, a 38% improvement from the catastrophic first year. Adjusted operating income reached $261.8 million, a 138% improvement. The stock responded. From its 2025 lows, Sphere Entertainment shares rebounded 370%. Pause. Dolan compared the journey to making pancakes. It's the first time we've done it, and we've learned, and we're getting better at it. The first pancake always gets thrown away. That's the learning curve. But investors don't usually pay $2.3 billion for practice. The question remained, could the company scale what was working? Could it export the magic to other cities? Could it build an empire from a single building? And the answer came from the desert, just not the Nevada one. Abu Dhabi's Department of Culture and Tourism committed $1.7 billion to build a full-scale replica of the Las Vegas Sphere. According to Music Business Worldwide, it's the first international venue in what Dolan hopes becomes a global network. Pause. Then came the announcement of a smaller 6,000-seat mini-sphere planned for National Harbor, Maryland, near Washington, D.C. According to W Top News, the project will receive approximately $200 million in state, local, and private incentives. Crucially, Dolan explained the economics had changed. These spheres will be much less expensive than Las Vegas was. They can get built faster. My hope would be in that we could build a small sphere in a little over 2 years. The company now designs scalable venues ranging from 3,000 to 18,000 seats, modular systems that can be deployed worldwide without the $2.3 billion learning curve. Pause. The franchise model addresses the original sin. Vegas proved the concept, but couldn't prove the business case alone. Multiple venues mean content developed once can play everywhere. Technology costs spread across a network, and the risk shifts to local partners willing to bet on their own markets. So what's the lesson from the most expensive entertainment venue ever built? Pause. Revolutionary technology alone doesn't guarantee a sustainable business. The Sphere's story reveals the perilous gap between artistic vision and commercial reality. James Dolan sketched a circle on a napkin and spent $2.3 billion bringing it to life. He built something genuinely unprecedented. 160,000 square feet of interior LED, 167,000 speakers, 10,000 haptic seats. Critics called it the future, and for its first year, that future lost $500 million. Success required not just spectacular concerts, but scalable content like The Wizard of Oz. Diversified revenue streams including advertising at $450,000 per day. Creative financing through franchise partners in Abu Dhabi and Maryland. Iteration, humility, and time. Pause. The ultimate question isn't whether the Sphere is amazing, By every measure, it is. The question is whether amazing is enough, whether one building can justify its existence through pure spectacle. Whether a napkin sketch can become an empire. The Sphere is still carrying $1.5 billion in debt. It still hasn't paid back that $2.3 billion construction cost. And it's betting everything on replicating a model that's never actually turned a profit. Pause. The first pancake got made, but the bill hasn't been paid yet.